Okay, so we have this question. Okay, you can read through this question. This has three modules. So first of all, we are going to look at this module, random char. So this random char is a function. You can see it returns a character, and the character has to be one of these three ranges. It can be a small letter, it can be a capital letter, or it can be a numeric character. So we're going to write code for this function. Function. Yeah, it doesn't take any parameters. Okay, we're going to declare, let's say, a variable c of type integer, and we are going to uh, randomly generate a number using the rand function. Okay, the rand function is a built-in function. It receives one parameter of type integer, and it will return a real value. Okay, let's suppose the example is given here, and let's suppose if the parameter value is 87, this rand function will randomly generate any number between 0 and 86. So 87 will be excluded. You can see this random number between 0 and x exclusive. So x will not be included in the range. Okay, so the range of values that we want is from 0 to 122, because the ASCII codes for the character a, small a, is 97, and the ASCII code for small b is 98, and so on. It is in sequence. So from 97 to 122 is the range for small letters, the ASCII codes for small letters, and the range for capital letters, it starts with 65. 65 being the ASCII code for capital A, 66 is for capital B, and so on. That's also in sequence. So from 65 to 90 is the range for capital letters. From 97 to 120 and 122 is the range for small letters. And the numeric characters, their ASCII values start from 48. So 48 is the ASCII code for 0. And then 1, for 1 it is 49, and so on. It is in sequence. All right. So we're going to give 122 as the range. Okay, but the thing is, this will generate a real number. We need to convert it into an integer value. So this will be converted into an integer value. Okay. So we're going to discard the value if the value is not within one of the three ranges, because the number generated can be, let's say, 15 or 20 or 25. So these numbers, of course, then don't fall within the three ranges that we need. So we're going to repeat the generation of this random number until the number in C is within the correct range. So until C is greater than equal to 48, or sorry, and C is less than equal to 57. So that's the range for numeric characters. So if it is within this range, that means it is a numeric character, or the number generated in C is greater than equal to 65, and at the same time it is also less than equal to 90. So that means this is a capital letter, or it can be a small letter as well. So if C is greater than equal to 97 and C is less than equal to 122. So until this happens, that the number generated in C is within one of these three ranges. It has to be one of these in within one of these three ranges. If this is one of if the number in C is in one of these three ranges, then the loop will end, and we'll have a valid character in the sorry, valid number in the variable c. Now we cannot return, okay, sorry, this is a function. We need to specify the return type as well. So returns a character. See, you can see the return type of this function returns a character. But the value in C is an integer. So we need to convert this C into a character using the chr function, which is a built-in function. It takes a number and it converts it into the ASCII character. So let's say if C is 65, then CHR will return the character capital A, and that capital A character will be returned from this function. Okay, so that's all about this function random char. Next function. Okay, next function is exists. Take two parameters, a string, a character, and performs a case-sensitive search for the character in the string. Returns true if the character occurs in the string, otherwise false. Okay, so okay, okay, well, let's first test this function random gas. So it doesn't take any parameter. It will return a value, and that value will be simply output. So let's see, n 9 l capital L O small o capital B capital M small o capital P. So you can see these randomly generated characters. They are all in the correct ranges. None of the characters generated is out of those three ranges. Okay. Okay, so then the next function is exists. So it takes a parameter, first parameter of type string, second parameter is a character, and we need to return a Boolean value from this function. Returns Boolean, true or false. Okay, so we're going to declare a variable, uh, variable I of type integer. We need to loop through this string one by one. So this is simply a linear search problem. In this case, we're going to search through a string of characters which is stored in the parameter s. So parameter s is a string, which is a string is simply a series of characters. So we're going to begin at the first character. We're going to extract the first character and then match it with the parameter c. If it matches with it, then we'll simply return true. So we're going to loop through the string for I 1 to the length of the string s. So length function is a built-in function. It returns how many characters are there in the given string. So we need to loop through the string, and we're going to see if one of the characters, okay, so we're going to use the mid function to extract one character at a time. Using the mid function, the first parameter is the string in question. I starts with 1, so we are starting at index 1 of the string, and the third parameter 1 means one character. We need one character at a time. So I is initially 1, so we start at 1 and we extract one character. So that means we are extracting the first character. Then next I will make I2, then we are starting at character number 2 and we extract one character. So that actually means the second character and the third character and so on. Okay, so if that character is equal to the parameter c, which is a character, then this means the character is there in the string. It exists, so simply return true. Yes, it exists in the string. Okay, you cannot have an else part here and say return false, and if that will not be correct, because if let's say let's say this the string s um, has this string Pakistan, and the character in C is, let's say, uh, it is N. So when we extract the first character from the string S, it is capital P, and it will of course not match with the character in C. The character in C is, let's say, N, so capital P equal to N, it is not. So you will simply return false. So the return statement is going to end the function, end the loop, and end the function right away, immediately. So that means you're returning the value false, which is not correct, not the correct logic, because the character that you're searching may be the last character, maybe somewhere else. So you can not simply match the first character, and if it doesn't match, and simply return false. You cannot do that. So we don't have this else part here. So where are we going to return this false? Of course, when we are done with matching with all the characters, then simply outside the loop we can return false. All right. So let's say if s is an empty string, the length of s will be 0 in that case. So that this loop, this for loop will run 0 times, because the length of s, if it is 0, this runs 0 times. Then what will be returned? Simply false will be returned, and that's true. That's correct. That's correct, because if the string is empty and you're searching a character in an empty string, if, of course it doesn't exist, so it has to return false. So that's correct. Okay, then the next function is generate. So generates a valid password, uses random char and exists, and it returns that valid password. Okay, so what is a valid password? A valid password must be 14 characters long, must be organized as three groups of four alphanumeric characters. Alphanumeric means it should have only alphabetic characters or numeric characters. Other characters like comma, hash sign, dollar sign, they are not part of an alphanumeric string. The groups are separated by hyphen characters, may include duplicated characters, provided these appear in different groups. So, as an example of a password is F, X, A, F, and so on. So, you can see that there are four characters in one group, and there are three such groups. Each group is separated with a hyphen, this dash. So, in each group, the characters are different, they're unique. But let's say this capital A, which is the third character in the first group, is there in the third group as the first character. So this can occur. The capital A character can occur anywhere else in any other group, but not within the same group. Okay, so we're going to write the code for the generate password. Sorry, generate function. It's a function. It returns the password, and the password is a string. Okay, so generate. So the function generate doesn't take any parameter. It Does it take any parameter? No, it doesn't take any parameter. It returns a string and function. Okay, so we need to generate four characters in a group. We can see there are four characters in a group. So how do we generate these characters? And they have to be randomly generated. Of course, the question says that use random char and exists. So you can use the random char function to get you a randomly generated character in the correct range. All right. So random char will be used four times uh, to generate four characters. So we can first, let's say, declare a variable I of type integer. So we need a loop, let's say for I 1, 2, 4, because we need four characters. Next I. Okay, so more variables. We're going to declare a variable part of type string. Okay, so the variable part will have an initial value set to empty string. Okay, so we're going to call the random char function, which gets us a character, randomly generated character. So that character will be stored, let's say, in a variable C, like char. So C and random char. Okay, so it will return a random character, and this will be stored in the variable C. And we need to see if this already exists. Uh, we have this part, or let's call it, okay, let's call it group. The name can be anything, but group sounds more appropriate. Okay, we are going to generate one group of characters. So if exists, and it takes a string, and that is, the first parameter is group, and the character is C that has then randomly been generated. If this returns false, this is false. That means this character does not exist. So initially, for the very first time, when the first character is generated, the group string is empty. So empty string will not have this character, so it will definitely return false. So we can concatenate this character with the string group. So group is empty initially, so we concatenate C with it. So that becomes the first character. So the string is the first character. Then another character will be generated, and if it is there, if it doesn't exist, uh, this will be concatenated. Okay, now the problem is that this for loop, the for loop, it runs four times, exactly four times, no more, no less than that. Okay, so let's say the first uh, character that is generated, of course, this will be not present in the group because it is already empty. So that first character will be added. Then the next time when I becomes 2, we are in the second iteration of the loop. The second character that is generated, let's say it is the same. It is the same character that has just been generated. So if it will not exist, it does exist in the group string. So this will return true. In that case, we're moving on. That means the loop is running, and we are moving I to 3 now. Then I will be 4, and then 5, and then loop will end when I becomes 5. The loop will end. So let's say this loop runs 4 times, and out of those 4 times, when those 4 characters were generated, 2 characters were unique, and 2 characters were the repetition of the first 2 characters. So that means we'll only be able to add 2 characters in this group, but we need exactly 4. So that means this for loop doesn't work here. We cannot control this loop. We want to control this loop that the variable I should only be incremented when we have concatenated the character with the group. So we can replace this with another loop, the repeat until loop, let's say. So repeat and repeat this until I becomes greater than 4. And I will only be incremented when it is um, it is a character which does not exist already. Otherwise, I will remain the same. All right. So this code will make sure that we have one group, but we need 3 such groups. So we can write this code 3 times, or alternatively, we can uh, put this code in a loop, inside a loop. So this highlighted code runs how many times? 3 times. So, okay, so we have another variable j. So we're going to put this whole piece of code uh, inside another loop. This whole thing inside another loop. And that loop can be a for loop, simply for j 1, 2, 3. Next j. Okay. But one thing that we need to see is this hyphen. We need to add this hyphen as well. Okay, now we have generated a group, and then once the group is generated, uh, the for loop runs for the second time, and the group is reset because we need to generate a new group, and the new group can have the characters from the previous group. So that's why we reset. But before we do this, we need another variable. Let's say password. So password it is initially set to empty string, and once we're done with the inside loop, the inner loop, we can concatenate this group with password. All right, and then we can add a hyphen to password, this hyphen character. So the group of four characters, this is concatenated here, and then after that we concatenate a hyphen. All right, and this will be repeated. This whole process will be repeated three times. So three groups of four characters will be generated. But the problem is that when we add this hyphen will be added after the first group, then after the second group, then also after the third group. We don't need the hyphen after the third group. We can see hyphen after the first group, hyphen after the second group, but there's no hyphen after the third group. But this will add hyphen after the third group. So to avoid this situation, we can simply say if the variable j, which is the variable used to control the for loop, if j is, let's say, if it is equal to 3, so when j is 1, that means we're generating the first group, so we can add the hyphen. If it is 2, we have generated okay, if it is equal to yeah, if it is equal to 3, that means we have generated the third. If it is say if it is less than or equal to 2, then only we can add this hyphen. When j is 3, we have generated the third group, so we should not add this hyphen. Yeah, right. Okay, so we have written all these functions. So let's call this function generate. So output, let's see the output from the generate function. So generate function will call the random char and also the exist. So those two functions will also be tested here. So let's see. Okay, there's a problem. Doesn't have any return. Okay, we have not returned any value. It says need to return the value. We're going to return password, of course. Password will have that final password. So we can see the output here. You can see there are three groups, and each group has unique characters. So you can see 8 is there, and 8 is there in the second group. So 8 can be repeated, of course, but in some other group. So let's do it one more time. All right. Each time we have 4 characters, and within each group, there are no repeating characters. All right, so that's the code.